One of the things I'm really curious about actually is tea. Part of it is because I'm Chinese, this is part of my heritage. And part of it also, there's that spiritual aspect of it. What would you say for someone who is a total novice? What's a way to go about it? Because in my mind, right, the way I learn anything, I'm a meta learner. I love just the art of learning. That's just part of who I am. I'm passionate about it. So the way I would go about it would be, let me actually get to the sensible aspect of it, the smells of it, the taste of it, the different flavored notes and all these things. Then I'll get into the ceremonial part. Then I'll try to go deeper into the deeper meaning of what potentially it does for me on the physiological level. That's how I would go about it. Knowing what you know now, what would you say to someone like me who is intrigued, who is interested, and who want to get into it?
Thank you. Good questions. I'm just reflecting on my first time being at a Japanese tea ceremony in Kyoto in 1987, where the very meticulous, curated design of how the bowl is placed and the movements and all of that very mindful, step by step process of presence. And until my friend 23 years later invited me to come and drink tea with him, my predominant assumption around tea as a spiritual practice was surrounding the action and the resultant quietude that comes about from the presence. Yet, also being a person who studies psychoactive neurobiological processes in somatic medicine, in diet influencing psyche, your gut biome, when it's all screwed up, you get more amygdala driven, is one of the oversimplifications. But then the process of the body and the mind and the emotions being tied together as one system is implicitly obvious when we're talking about integral medicine, but integral approaches. So with tea, I was unaware until that one time drinking tea in silence, a very high quality, clean tea that has organic or wild crafted, that is obviously not processed with any chemicals. And then to get to that point where the plant that is well cultivated and well processed, the actual drinking of the tea produces a psychobiological effect beyond what we would know as tea drinkers or coffee drinkers, because of the simple practice of sitting in silence and using tea to support the process of meditation. Not unlike ayahuasca, which I've only tried once incidentally, but ayahuasca creates a very dramatic as psychedelic effect, not unlike some version of LSD or magic mushrooms or something. Tea is a much more nuanced. So I call tea a coherence psychedelic rather than trips you out. It trips you into presence,
Mm.
but calms your mind and brings a sense of presence that is a direct result of the plant's chemistry on your nervous system. But that was something I was completely unaware of, because 90% of the time before I had experienced tea, I was not being silent and listening to my body going through this process of a meditation while I'm drinking the tea. So that's a very long explanation of what I heard from the tea masters that I studied with. Just drink 3 bowls in silence in the morning every day.
Mm.
And just sit and maybe let it become 4 or 5 or 6 bowls, but just keep drinking the tea and let it relax and have a medicine. And also what I learned from these teachers is that in ancient Chinese medicine, tea is one of those plant compounds, also mushrooms like reishi, but are considered super adaptogens like ginseng. It's one of those, it balances you out. So it's in ancient, they found some cache of prescriptions from some Chinese vault, and it was almost like herb, 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 drink more tea, herb, herb, drink more tea, herb, 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 drink more tea. So no matter what you're going through, tea balances you out, like
Mm.
these other adaptogens, but it's considered one of the master adaptogens in Chinese medicine.
Mm,
And
mm,
Ron Teagarden, you might know Ron Teagarden from Dragon Herbs. He also, after many years of selling just Chinese tonic herbs, started selling tea for the same kind of reasons. But it balances the psychobiological effect because even Western medicine is recognizing the issues of psyche that affect, influence body's health. Similarly, tea can help that whole system. And you can't separate mind from matter. You can't separate emotions from day-to-day life. All this kind of stuff, relationships at work from relationships at home, especially now in COVID when we're all mixed up together. But the key is, for me, tea is about a way of, and a person who's, you probably have gathered, I'm very active mind and somewhat on the spectrum of hyperactive because I'm so much going on. Tea was very helpful to me as a meditator to have some physical anchor in the physical world so that if I wanted, I wouldn't have to just tap my finger or fidget around. Tea helped me to just be, when in the moments when I was distracted, tea was very helpful. And that's the essential meditation tradition around tea as well.
mm.
But it doesn't have to be tied to any belief system or faith. It's just tea.
Yeah. So let me recap a little bit of what you said to me is tea is secular, right? It's non-religious. There's no canon, no specific way of thinking about it, right? So that's one. Two is tea is an adaptogen, right? And three is the practice of drinking 3 bowls a day as a way to get started. So
Mm.
as a follow-up question there,
3 bowls in silence at the beginning of the day is the ideal, but drink as much tea as your body and mind feel is appropriate. But then that's where every day becomes a different dimension of how much tea is appropriate.